Morrow Products distributes a single product, a woven basket, whose selling price is $15 and whose variable expense is $12 per unit. The company's monthly fixed expense is $4,200. Solve for the company's break-even point in unit sales and sales dollars. We'll begin by calculating break-even point in units. Recall that break-even is where our net operating income is zero. This means we're going to need to earn at least a $4,200 contribution margin. Since we earn a contribution margin of $3 per unit, that's our $15 selling price minus our $12 variable cost, we're going to need to sell 1,400 units to break even. That's our $4,200 total contribution margin divided by our $3 per unit contribution margin. We can prove this out if we pick up our units for sales and variable expenses. Our total sales will be $21,000. That's our $15 per unit selling price times 1,400 units. And our variable expenses will be $16,800, which is our $12 per unit variable cost times 1,400 units. And we can see that $21,000 minus $16,800 gives us our contribution margin of $4,200. And notice $21,000 would be our break-even point in terms of sales dollars. We'll approach this again down below using our contribution margin ratio. But before we do that, let's calculate our break-even point in units using the equation method, which is essentially the same process. We take our net operating income, which in this case is our zero for break-even, add to it our fixed expenses of $4,200, and we divide that by our contribution margin per unit to get our 1,400 units. Let's go ahead and calculate our break-even point in sales dollars using the contribution margin ratio. Again, break-even is where our net operating income is zero. Our fixed expenses were $4,200, which means we needed to earn a $4,200 contribution margin. On a percentage basis, we take our selling price of 15 and divide it by 15 to get 100%. Our variable expenses as a percentage of sale are 12 divided by 15 selling price to give us 80%, which means our contribution margin ratio is 20%. If we take our $4,200 required contribution margin and divide it by our 20% contribution margin ratio, we get $21,000, which is our break-even point in sales dollars. Again, we could do this the equation method by taking our break-even net operating income of zero, adding to that our $4,200 in fixed expenses, and dividing that $4,200 then by our 20% contribution margin, and we get the same $21,000.